Who's in control? That's a question you need to be asking yourself when you start opening trades from now on. And what do I mean by that? Well, we only get buyers and sellers in a market, right? So people buying something or people selling something in its basic sense. And the goal you need to have in your mind before you open a trade is to understand right now, when I'm looking at this graph, ignore your indicators, ignore the trend lines, ignore everything else. What is currently happening in the market right now? What is the price action? Who's in control? Is it the buyers or is it the sellers? Let's come to the fundamentals of a market, right? The market moves based on who has control in that moment. If there's more buyers than sellers, you'll find that price goes up. And if there's more sellers than buyers, price goes down, right? So, in its basic sense, and I'm coming more from an economics perspective, when a lot of people want to buy something and there's not enough sellers, price will go up because we need to accommodate for that scarcity of that resource or that asset. And if we look at from a seller's perspective, if there's a ton of sellers and not enough buyers, in order to get people to buy, you need to make it cheaper than your competitors, right? So market would always move in those two directions. That's literally it. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to think that the reason why price is going up isn't just because of buyers in control, but it's because every single person in the market right now is using like an RSI indicator that is saying, oh, we're in an oversold position. That's why price is going up. It just comes down to fundamentals. Is there a lot of buyers or a lot of sellers in the market? And identifying control helps you determine trend direction, right? So the goal of this video is to teach you how to trade with the trend instead of counter trading the trend. So what I mean by that is you'll find a lot of people, and I see this a lot with beginners. I myself, when I used to trade, when I just started, I used to make the same mistake that when price was going down, for example, and the trend looked bearish, I always tried looking for a pullback or for price to reverse. And I knew that if I can maybe predict that, then I'm going to enter just on time. And then you get stopped out or blow your account, right? But if we can trade with the trend, finding who's currently in control, we can get those wins much more easily by understanding the sentiment of the current price action. So with knowing this, you end up getting three things, which is better exits, better entries, and a higher win rate. But enough with all of that, right? So the true value is to understand how we spot this control. Let's understand from a bullish trend perspective, right? So how do we understand? How do we find out if we have a bullish trend in the market currently? Well, if I go onto my graph and if you take a look at the drawing, you can see that price is making higher highs and higher lows, right? And for me, this is a clear indicator that price is going up, right? The trend is moving up. There's not enough sellers to push the price all the way back down, and buyers are dominating currently. So that's where you get your buyers who are in control, right? Now, vice versa, to understand a bearish market or a bearish trend, we'd want to see lower highs and lower lows. When we see that, it tells us that sellers are in control, right? And a key thing to understand with all these concepts is we're currently looking for strong momentum, because strong momentum moves indicate dominance in a market, right? When I see movement, that's when I'm entering. The other thing is I also want to see weak pullbacks, which for me suggests trend continuation. So I have my own edge to identify pullbacks that I use. And I mean, obviously for you guys, it's to build your own edge and understand how to figure out if you want to trade these weak pullbacks or if you just want to start opening trades when you identify the momentum. But as you can see in the graph, so I have an image of Bitcoin, but it could be any graph. I was just using this as an example to show you the strong momentum and weak pullbacks. And as you can see, there's a bearish move now, and you can see that the momentum is quite strong, but also those pullbacks are quite weak. And if you can get in those pullbacks, knowing that the market is going down, that's when you get your really good entries. So what's the key signs of buyer control, right? So I note it as four things. Buyer control means aggressive green candles with little to no wick on top. There's breakouts above resistance levels with strong volume, higher lows forming at key support zones, and failed attempts by sellers to push price down. With seller control, we have technically the opposites. We have aggressive red candles with little to no wick on top. So you'll notice with the buy and seller control, I mentioned the no wicks on top or at the bottom first, because that is something that I really look out for. When I see fast movement, especially with no wicks in a lot of the candles, that is a clear sign of a strong trend happening at the moment. So second point for the seller's control is price rejecting resistance levels with strong rejections. Lower high forming at key resistance zones and buyers failing to push price higher, leading to breakdowns. So how do we trade all this information, right? Well, this is the beauty of this. This is where your edge comes into play. I'm going to go against a lot of what the YouTubers try to do by giving you a strategy and then funneling you into a paid course. Instead, I'm going to leave it to you. I've given you the information to identify who's currently in control in the market and where the trend is, and if it's a bearish or bullish trend, and how to identify those. But where you enter is going to be up to you, and that has to come with practice. So take some of the points that I just mentioned now, go into your charts, and for a few weeks just start opening trades, whether it's in a paper trading demo account. If you really want to use a live account, that's not on me. But the whole goal is whatever makes you learn these concepts, go out there and go do it.